When people think of the Princess of Monaco, modern audiences often recall the glamorous Hollywood actress Grace Patricia Kelly, or the current Princess of Monaco, Charlene, who was once a professional athlete. However, there was another princess in Monaco's history who must be mentioned. She is the matrilineal ancestor of the current royal family and was every bit as dazzling in her era as Grace Patricia Kelly. Her bold lifestyle, numerous rumored romances, and a constant stream of gossip made her a frequent feature in the tabloids of her time. She was relentlessly pursued by reporters and became a favorite subject of public intrigue and conversation. This extraordinary noblewoman was none other than Catherine Charlotte de Gramont, the Princess of Monaco, famously nicknamed Catherine the Torrent. By now, you must be wondering, why was she called the Torrent? Let's just say it's a remarkably apt metaphor. Catherine Charlotte de Gramont was born in 1639 into one of the most prominent noble families of France. Her father, Antoine de Gramont, was not only a duke but also a renowned marshal of France and a distinguished diplomat, holding significant power and influence. Her mother, Françoise Marguerite du Plessis de Chivray, came from an equally illustrious lineage, being the niece of the famous Cardinal Richelieu. Catherine was the second child in her family, with 2 brothers and 1 sister. Among them, the name you need to remember is that of her eldest brother. This brother, who later shared a courtly life with Catherine, was known as the Count of Guiche, before inheriting their father's title. In the southwestern borderlands of France lay a small principality governed by a ruler titled the Prince of Monaco. However, don't be mistaken. The Prince of Monaco was vastly different in status and power compared to French princes of the royal court. The title Prince was solely derived from ruling over a principality. In the mid-17th century, during Catherine's lifetime, Monaco was an independent principality. However, its rulers had not yet been recognized by the French court as members of the foreign royal families. Their courtly rank was considered equivalent to that of ordinary nobility. At the time, only dynasties like the House of Savoy and the House of Lorraine were acknowledged as such by the French monarchy. Catherine's future husband, the next Prince of Monaco, would spend his entire life striving to achieve this recognition. Some might wonder, if these foreign royal families already had their own states, why would they seek favor at the French court instead of asserting dominance in their own territories? This was actually a common phenomenon at the time. Europe was fragmented into numerous states, ranging from powerful kingdoms to tiny principalities like Monaco. The German-speaking regions alone were home to 300 to 400 small states. Many minor royal houses and their branches received little inheritance of value. Despite titles like Prince or Grand Duke, their actual holdings often amounted to nothing more than a small feudal fief. Take Monaco as an example. Its territory today is not much different from what it was then. In the 17th century, Monaco was still under a feudal economy, with no casinos or tourism to generate wealth as it does now. Far from the prosperity we see today, the princes of Monaco often found little appeal in staying in their small homeland. Due to their linguistic and cultural proximity to France, they preferred to reside in Paris and seek positions within the French court. In 1660, the reigning Prince of Monaco, Honoré II, saw his grandson and heir, Louis, reach the age of 18. Louis was the old prince's beloved grandchild, having been raised as his heir after a tragedy 9 years earlier. Louis's father, the prince's only son, had died in a firearm accident. Fortunately, he had married young and left behind Louis as the sole male descendant of the family. Eager to secure a favorable match for his grandson, the aging prince sought the help of Cardinal Mazarin, the French prime minister. He hoped to arrange a marriage between Louis and a high-ranking noblewoman from France, strengthening ties with the French aristocracy and bolstering their shared resistance against Spain, a common adversary. Mazarin immediately thought of Catherine, the daughter of the Duke of Gramont. At the time, Catherine was 21 years old. Not only was she remarkably beautiful and intelligent, but her noble lineage and the substantial dowry she would bring made her an ideal candidate. Moreover, as she was in her prime childbearing years, it was expected that she could soon provide Monaco with a future prince. Both the old prince and the Duke of Gramont were pleased with the proposed union. However, the prince harbored concerns about Catherine's reputation. Rumors had reached him about her unrestrained and rebellious behavior, including a romantic involvement with her cousin, much to her parents' disapproval. The Duke of Gramont assured the prince that Catherine had ended the relationship with her cousin and had no lingering emotional ties. To further ease concerns, the Duke promised a generous dowry of 300,000 livres. Upon hearing this substantial dowry amount, the old prince was overjoyed. The marriage contract was signed, and the union between Catherine and Monaco's heir was finalized. Yet, Catherine herself was entirely opposed to the marriage. In the feudal society of the time, however, she had no say in deciding her future. The wedding took place on March 30th, 1660, at the Gramont family's chateau. It was an opulent affair, with the bride, Catherine, dressed from head to toe in dazzling gold and jewels. She was officially styled as Her Serene Highness, the Princess of Monaco. To mark the occasion, the matchmaker Cardinal Mazarin gifted her a gemstone-studded crown. Guests unanimously agreed that the bride looked every bit like a true princess. The groom, 18-year-old Louis, was handsome but slightly shy by nature. Guests at the wedding praised the couple for their beauty and elegance, calling them a perfect match. However, Catherine, perhaps still heartbroken over being forced to end her relationship with her cousin, felt no affection for Louis. She found him dull and uninteresting. The newlyweds spent 4 months at the chateau before relocating to Paris. They moved into the second floor of a luxurious townhouse on Rue de Hauteville, owned by the Gramont family. As nobles, Catherine and Louis regularly participated in court life at the French palace. In 1661, Catherine gave birth to a healthy heir for Monaco, whom they named Antoine. In 1662, the old prince, Honoré II, passed away. With this, Louis became the new Prince of Monaco, and duty compelled him to return to Monaco. As his wife, Catherine had no choice but to accompany him, a prospect she utterly despised. She had no desire to leave France, especially Paris, the vibrant city she adored. Now she was being forced to relocate to what she considered a remote and desolate backwater in Monaco. Life in Monaco was a stark contrast to Paris. There were no salons, no grand balls, and nothing to stimulate her interest. Despite enjoying a queen-like status as the Princess of Monaco, Catherine found no joy in her new surroundings. To cope with her boredom, she poured all her time and energy into redecorating the interior of the Monaco castle. In Catherine's eyes, the decor of the ancestral fortress was at least a century behind Parisian standards. Drawing inspiration from the Château de Fontainebleau, she undertook a major renovation of the castle, transforming it to align with her refined French tastes. In 1664, after 2 years of being away from Paris, Catherine finally received an invitation from the French court. The king had invited her to serve as a lady-in-waiting to Henrietta of England, the Duchess of Orléans, and the king's sister-in-law. Overjoyed by the news, Catherine couldn't wait to leave Monaco, feeling as though her spirit had withered there. Within 2 weeks, she had packed her belongings and returned to Paris. Adapting to her new role was easy, as she had known Henrietta since childhood. The charming and sociable Catherine quickly became a shining star at court. Her lively personality and striking beauty drew countless young men to her like moths to a flame. Having fulfilled her duty to Monaco by giving birth to an heir, Catherine felt free to indulge her true nature. During this time, she rekindled her romance with her cousin and flirted openly with many young noblemen. Contemporary court memoirist Madame de Sévigné described the Princess of Monaco as insatiable when it came to her desires. It was also during this period that Catherine earned the risque nickname Catherine the Torrent at court. Some might wonder, what about her husband? Why didn't Louis intervene? In fact, Louis had accompanied Catherine back to Paris, but was soon dispatched by King Louis XIV on a diplomatic mission to Italy. Determined to succeed in his royal assignment, Louis left with confidence, instructing Catherine to make herself useful at court by building favorable relationships with the king and other members of the royal family. His ultimate ambition was to elevate the Monaco family to the status of a foreign royal family, akin to the houses of Lorraine and Savoy. Although this title carried no tangible benefits, it would grant the Monaco family a higher rank among French nobility, giving them privileges above the average duke and placing them ahead in court protocol. Such prestige, though symbolic, was a coveted honor in the aristocracy of the time, and only the king could bestow it. In this regard, Catherine did not disappoint her husband. In 1665, a year after her return to court, she seized the opportunity when the king's official mistress, Louise de la Vallière, was pregnant. Catherine successfully seduced Louis XIV, drawing him into her embrace. While Louis XIV remained emotionally attached to La Vallière, his natural impulses led him to succumb to Catherine's allure. Her reputation for unmatched skill in the bedroom was clearly well earned. However, the relationship between Catherine and Louis XIV did not last long. The king found Catherine's personal life to be excessively promiscuous, so much so that even he could not tolerate it. During their affair, Catherine continued her relationship with her cousin, an act that infuriated the possessive Louis XIV. Unable to endure the situation, the king imprisoned Catherine's cousin in the Bastille. By the time the cousin was released 6 months later, Louis XIV had already returned to the arms of Louise de la Vallière. It is said that Catherine's husband, Louis, was somewhat annoyed when he learned of her breakup with the king. At the time, many nobles saw their wife's entanglement with the monarch not as a disgrace but as an opportunity for personal advancement. Catherine's elder brother, the Count of Guiche, was also living at court during this period. Renowned for his extraordinary good looks, he was widely regarded as the most handsome man in the French court. Like his sister, the Count of Guiche was known for his hedonistic lifestyle. With his striking appearance, he navigated court life effortlessly, charming everyone around him. The Count of Guiche even became romantically involved with Louis XIV's younger brother, Philippe, Duke of Orleans, acting as the Duke's male lover. Astonishingly, he also dared to seduce Philippe's wife, Henrietta, Duchess of Orleans, maintaining intimate relationships with both husband and wife simultaneously. Truly, the Count of Guiche lived up to the reputation of being Catherine the Torrent's elder brother. By 1668, Catherine and her brother had finally pushed Louis XIV's patience too far. Enraged by their behavior, the king ordered both siblings to leave the court for a period of reflection. Catherine and her husband, Louis, relocated to Genoa for a time before returning to the monotonous life in Monaco. During these years, Catherine's relationship with her husband was erratic and largely cold. From the very beginning, Catherine had been forced into this marriage, and despite Louis's good looks, his reserved and socially awkward nature made him unappealing to her. Catherine once openly remarked that she did not love him, calling him unfashionable and dull. After giving birth to 6 children, Catherine and Louis finally decided to part ways. In 1672, as the Franco-Dutch War broke out, Louis received orders to join the king's forces. Before he departed for the battlefield, the couple agreed to a peaceful separation, signing an official agreement to live apart while remaining married in name only. Following Louis's departure, Catherine returned to Versailles. By this time, her friend Henrietta had passed away, and Philippe had remarried Elizabeth Charlotte, the daughter of the Elector Palatine. With her natural charm and social skills, Catherine quickly developed a rapport with the new Duchess. At court, Catherine initially feigned modesty, but soon reverted to her usual bold nature. She began by seducing Philippe's favorite male lover, the Chevalier de Lorraine, before setting her sights on Philippe himself. However, Philippe, an openly gay man, had no interest in women. Confident in her own allure, Catherine was shocked when her advances were firmly rebuffed. According to reports, she even attempted to use force to win Philippe's affection, but he managed to escape, complaining bitterly about her afterward. Failing to win over Philippe, Catherine turned her attention to his new wife, Elizabeth Charlotte. Her relentless pursuit of romantic and sexual adventures was nothing short of remarkable, showcasing her daring nature and uninhibited approach to relationships. In her memoirs, Elizabeth Charlotte wrote, "The Princess of Monaco once tried to introduce me to the pleasures of lesbian love, but she was unsuccessful with me. She was so disappointed that she even burst into tears. Shortly afterward, she tried to make me fall in love with the Chevalier de Vendôme, but she failed again. The Princess of Monaco often complained to me, saying, 'I simply don't understand you. You're interested in neither men nor women. You Germans truly have hearts of stone.' After years of stirring up chaos at court and tirelessly providing material for the gossip columns, Catherine's health began to deteriorate. It is said that she developed bone tuberculosis, and her condition worsened over several years. When the Prince of Monaco, Louis, returned to Paris after concluding his military campaigns, he began visiting Catherine daily during her illness. Though they had been separated for years, he demonstrated his care and fulfilled his duties as her husband in her final days. In 1678, Catherine Charlotte de Gramont, Princess of Monaco, passed away in Paris at the age of 39. Reflecting on her life, Catherine undoubtedly lived on her own terms. She used her privileged position to enjoy freedoms that were inaccessible to most women of her time. While her choices were often controversial, she never wavered in her resolve. Catherine lived for herself, dismissing the constraints of feudal conventions as if they were of no consequence.